Welcome to Plans Are Booked, a podcast for every reader. I'm Molly Geller.
I'm Stephanie Blackburn.
And I'm Caitlin Madison. Welcome to episode 103. One of my favorite stations growing up was Oldies 103.3. That's all I have for you on that. 103, I don't think has any significance to anyone else. Did you guys listen to Oldies 103.3?
Yes, but I listen to what it is now.
Oh, what is it now? I have XM.
It's like a Worcester station, but it's like indie. It's so good.
Oh, nice. Like a 92.5 The River kind of thing?
Yeah.
Nice. I got big news about 10 minutes ago. Like big news. Yeah. It's probably not going to be as exciting to the two of you, but it was shocking to me. Are you ready?
Yes, hurry up.
I got Connell, my dog's DNA results back.
Was I right?
That is big news.
What was your prediction, Steph, again?
I think I said 85% corgi.
Mm-hmm. Molly, did you have any predictions?
I didn't, but I think he's going to be part corgi. I also think he could be part Chihuahua, to be honest with you.
I thought that, so they're called Shiggies, Chihuahua Corgis, and that's what I thought he was. If people don't remember, my dog is rescued from Puerto Rico, and my brother and sister-in-law gifted me a DNA kit for him as part of my Christmas gift, and I have been waiting all this time to find out. When I say I got the email and I got nervous for a second, I was like, why am I nervous? It doesn't matter what he is. Well, people, I have big news for you. He is 0% corgi.
No.
What?
No.
Yes. Yep. They found, it says, we detected 15 breeds in Connell. So he's like a mega mutt. But he is 41% Chihuahua, 18% American Pit Bull Terrier. So I don't know what they're called. I'm going to call him a Chit Bull because I don't know what else to call him. 8% Min Pin, 7% Yorkshire Terrier, 6% Poodle. I am shook. I'm like, I don't even know you. Like, can you imagine me living with a Puerto Rican man for like 6 months and then all of a sudden I'm like, what do you mean you're not Puerto Rican? Like, that's what it feels like. But anyways, my dog is not a corgi, and my sister-in-law got me she got me and made me on her Cricut like a bunch of corgi stuff for Christmas, and he's like not even corgi, which is crazy. So yeah, so I don't even know who I am, but I guess I'm going to just like join the pity mom group now because all the pity moms are like hardcore dog rescue, pities forever, like all of that.
You should tell Kate because she owns two pitties.
Oh yes, okay, I will. And also I was with Sally last night and for my sister-in-law's birthday, and shout out to Sally, avid listener. And she has 2 pit bulls, and she was like, I will never rescue another kind of dog. I will always get pit bulls. So she's definitely going to freak out. I'm debating whether I want her to hear it on the pod or if I'm going to text her.
I think you should let her hear
But
it.
I feel like she's my sister-in-law's best friend. Like, I feel like I feel like Abby is going to probably tell her, but we'll see. But yeah, so that's my big news. I have not processed it because I got the email literally 10 minutes ago, but it's pretty wild. And I can't believe this whole time I have totally thought he was a different kind of dog. It's hilarious. But now I feel like I'm going to do like a deep dive into Chihuahuas and Pit Bulls and like find out all there is to know about them because it wasn't time well spent before because I didn't know what he was.
Well, I've fostered both, so I can.
Yay. And my childhood best friend, Nora, her dog is the lookalike, the Connell lookalike, and he is Chihuahua and Dachshund. And so like I was saying to her, I was like, I don't understand like where he's getting this long body from. But apparently he's just got short legs, and then he probably has like a pit bull body, like a long body. I don't know. He's now that I know what he is, I'm like, okay, so you're actually just like a very disproportionate representation of your of your top 2 breeds.
Well, what's fun now is when you're out walking him and people are like, "Oh my God, is that a corgi?" You can educate them on everything that you learned.
Someone asked me this morning, my name, this was so cute. Talk about an adorable neighborhood moment. So this morning I was out walking him around 9 o'clock, and um, my neighbors, like 3 or 4 houses down, have 3 kids, and the oldest one is like 7. And the dad was out there. The daughter's like a toddler still, so she was just kind of hobbling around, but he was playing 500 with his sons, which is like, do you know that camp game 500?
I don't.
So you throw a ball in the air, and as you're throwing it, you yell a number 1 to 500, and whoever catches it gets that amount of points. And so it's like a math game, but also you're catching a ball. And
I'm out.
so I loved it. And so like if the ball gets thrown and it's like they say the thrower says like 200, like everybody is really going for that one, because like then you're almost halfway there. And then if you're really like feeling spicy, you can say 500, and then like people almost die trying to get it. But anyways, they were playing it in the middle of my street. It was so freaking cute. And then we walked by, and the dad was like, I should know his name by this point, but I don't. The dad was like, "Oh, is it okay if we like come over and give him some pets?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then he was like, "So is he like a full breed corgi?" And I was like, "No, actually, I rescued him and I don't know when he is." So everyone, strangers, think he's a corgi. So it's just a hoot and a half. Other things that are going on: went out for my sister in law's 40th birthday last night. There were 8 of us. We went to the Improv Asylum for a 5 o'clock show, and then we had a dinner reservation at Florentine, which is in the North End. I had never been there before. It was great. The food was great. The service was great. We were sat in the downstairs, and part of the downstairs was like rented out for an engagement party. So, but and it's like not really separated, really. They just had like a corner basically, and there was probably like 15 or 20 of them. So that was kind of cute. And then my sister-in-law got cannolis because those are her favorite, which my brother and I were saying we don't understand cannoli hype. I find them to be so dry. The actual like the case part is like gross.
I think if they're fresh, then
No, it doesn't do it for me. If I have my pick, I'm going to Bova's, not Modern, not Mike's. I'm going to Bova's. It's open 24 hours, and I feel like they have the best variety of pastries that are not cannolis. The line wasn't too bad, which was good because I wasn't getting anything. And it was like a really fun night. And I saw some people that I hadn't seen in a while. And it was just like nice catching up. Like it was a good amount of like activity and getting to chat. So that was really fun. And then my other exciting thing that happened this week is I bought a $9 freckle stamp.
Excuse me.
Yep. I'm wearing them right now.
Wait,
I'm just gonna zoom it.
a stamp for your
If
face?
I had my own late night show, this is when I'd be like, camera 2, can we get a close up?
Okay. Yep. I see it. Yep. Yep. Because you want to be Shane Hollander?
One, yes. But 2, I've had a freckle pen where you have to like place them yourself, and I was horrible at it. It looked like I literally had used a Crayola marker. Like I was smudging it. I'd go to dot it like real quick, and it would like, you know, it was a mess. So I gave up on it. That was like 2 years ago, probably. I was like, I'm out on this. It's not working. Then, probably because of Shane Hollander, my algorithm started feeding me these freckle stamps. So it's a double-ended marker. Don't laugh, Stephanie, okay? I'm having fun. Don't yuck my yum. One end is like a little stamp, like literally a stamp that has like, I don't know, 8 dots on it. And then the other end is a marker if you want to like do the marker thing. It was $9 for a 2-pack. I was like, if I hate it, I lost $9. That's not the end of the world. It's basically 2 Diet Cokes at this point. And yeah, and I'm obsessed with it. I used it yesterday and I put them back on this morning because I was like, I loved these. And it makes me feel like I have a healthy glow in January during the fall of democracy. This is like what I need. I need fun things in my life because I read the news, I watch the news. You know, I was at I was at a bookstore the other day, and I had like my little stack of books that I brought up to check out, and the woman, this was at Wellesley Books, and the woman was like, "Oh, these are some cozy reads." And I looked at her and I go, "Yeah, I figure for like every 30 minutes of news I endure, I should get to read like 3 romance novels." I
Yes,
think
good
that
ratio.
I was like, I think that's like where I'm at. And there were 2 other women behind me in line, and they started cackling, and then the woman that was at the register was like, "I love this." I was like, I'm not going to not watch the news, but there's got to be some kind of buffer, you know? So that's what's been going on with me. What's going on with everybody else?
I've been consuming the news like in a very unhealthy way where I
Mm.
can't stop watching stuff on my phone and just getting like more worked up and more worked up and more worked up. And then I look and it's almost midnight and I didn't read the book that I had intended to read because I
Oh, you're
just was,
doing night scrolling? Uh-oh.
yeah. It
Uh-oh.
usually I'm reading and then I need to fact check something because that always happens. Oh, or I need to voice note myself something and I open the phone and then inevitably somehow end up on Instagram and then see some sort of thing that makes me start to panic and then the spiral just continues and continues and continues. So, the only thing I've really been doing besides that is writing and I have just been disappearing into this book that I'm working on every moment that I'm free, either before work or right after work. I come home, I write for like 2 hours. I sadly have only accumulated about 16,000 words in the past week because I only started, I think, last Saturday. Is that when I first started? So it's been about a week. But to your point, Caitlin, when you asked, I can't remember if it was the 100th episode, I'm pretty sure I will have this done by the end of February.
It's flying out of your fingers and I'm loving it. And
That's awesome.
Steph has granted us access to her draft. And so it's in a Google Doc and we can leave comments or ideas or ask for clarifications on things. I feel like when you get my comment notifications, it's all just like, love this. So funny. So clever. Hilarious.
I'm actually not caught up because I was waiting for Steph to like get a couple chapters done before I dove back in, because I was like, if I go on there and there's only one more chapter, I'm going to be annoyed.
I've
Like
doubled the
frustrated.
length since the last
Okay,
time you
then
were
I
on.
need to go back in today. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Something to look, see, things to look forward to. I was talking about this with my therapist. I was like, I need things to look forward to. I made my like 2026 bingo card. I tried to put really fun things on there. One of them was take a Zumba class, which I already did. That was really fun. My thighs really hurt the next day. But yeah. So, okay, things to look forward to. Steph's new book that we need to cook up a name for. But see, I feel like I don't know where things are going yet. Don't you feel that way, Mo?
Yeah, but
I
even knowing where it's going, I still don't have an idea for a title.
Oh, okay. So then I feel
Yeah,
I'm
where
in-
do you think it's going?
I don't know. It's like
okay, can I share what I hope is going to
yes.
happen?
Yeah, go. Do
Okay.
it.
So I hope that Darcy and the Olivetti's bartender Fitz are going to have a romance and that she is going to wind up somehow like that they're going to become like small town business stars together, like the restaurant and the tattoo studio, and that they're just going to like hype each other up and they're going to become like the it small biz couple of Jackson Hole.
That's not where I was going, but sure.
I can manifest it however I want.
Yeah. I like that. I could see that, but also I wouldn't predict that because it's not very Stephanie. I don't
You know what?
it's gotta be a little more complicated, you know?
As you continue reading the new pages, you will see how much of this book is actually very me. So you will see as you go on, there's many things that are direct pulls from my life, things I've said, things I regularly say, behavior I exhibit. So it could happen.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that a lot. Molly, what have you been up to?
I have gotten a few DMs from our listeners saying how much they enjoy hearing us talk about what we're watching, TV and movies, and how they've gotten into things because of us. So I wanted to share 2 pop culture updates. One, I finally watched One Battle After Another
I need to do that.
because it won so many Golden Globes. And listeners, if you've been around for a long time, you know we're a big award show group, the three of us. We watch together all of the big shows. It's way more fun if you've actually seen the shows and the movies. This one's a big commitment. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes. I have the version of HBO that has ads, so it took me over 3 hours to watch this movie. It is so good. And back to the news is really hard, really depressing, really intense. The premise of this movie is that Tiana Taylor's character and Leonardo DiCaprio's character are part of a revolutionary group that does things like release immigrants from detention centers, rob banks, and use that money to release more people. They are sort of Robin Hood type people. And I found it actually quite comforting to watch people resist for 3 hours. And the performances are amazing. The shooting style, the cinematography is awesome. I can see why people liked seeing it in the theater. There's a car chase scene at one point that I'm sure would be amazing on a massive screen. I understood within the first 6 minutes why Tiana Taylor won the Golden Globe. Amazing performance. I also think of Paul Thomas Anderson, the writer director, as a pretty like nerdy guy. This is like a real badass movie. And I was just surprised because it doesn't seem like his personality.
I think if he's anything like us, he's probably pissed. And his wife or partner and children are not white.
Correct.
And I think he's probably, this might have like felt really cathartic for him to make a movie like this. That's kind of my take on it. I've read nothing that hints at that, but but that's just kind of my gut feeling on that.
I could totally see that. So if you have HBO, which if you've been watching Heated Rivalry, I know you do, you can watch this movie.
Or The Pit, my favorite.
Or The Pit, yes, definitely another display of humanity. The other thing I wanted to say is, yes, The Pit is back. Episodes 1 and 2 are out, but I also started season 3 of Tell Me Lies, which is based on a book. This is one of the most evil characters of all time is Stephen DeMarco from Tell Me Lies.
I have to be in the right headspace to watch it because he makes me so upset.
I only lasted one season and I read that book. I read that book way before the show was even going to be a show. And Sally actually brought that show up last night and was like, I can't believe you don't watch this. And I was like, everyone's despicable. It's the same everybody's toxic. And that's the same reason why I never got through more than 2 episodes of Succession, because everybody was also despicable on that show. And there's just so much shit going on in the world that I'm like, I can't sit still and watch horrible people. I just can't do it right. I can't do it right now. Maybe at some point I will, but not right now.
I agree that you have to be in a headspace to tolerate it because it is really hard. And I find if I watch it, so they released 3 episodes at once on the first day so people could kind of get hooked again. I watched them on 3 separate nights because it's too much for me to do that much Stephen DeMarco. And when I watch it, then I have to watch something else after as like a palate cleanser because I cannot go to bed with that as the last thing in my mind. But I think the reason that I'm still doing it is because I'm in awe of this character trajectory for both him and Lucy. And now that they finished all the plot of the original book, the writers can just go in whatever direction they want. So it feels very surprising every time there's a different twist and turn. I will say their encapsulation of the early 2000s, the music, the clothes, the college parties is perfection. Like if you just want to watch the first 10 minutes on mute, you'll be like, I wore every single one of those outfits. So if you're looking for a new show and you can tolerate bad actors, meaning not actors who are bad at their job, but bad characters, this one is a real WTF as you watch it unfold.
The thing about that show is like, yes, I have to like psych myself up to sit down and watch it, but afterwards, like, I'm okay because there are like enough little bits of like, not retribution, but like leaning towards that you're like, okay,
Totally.
we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
A note on The Pit, because I am caught up.
Yeah.
One, I love that show. and I watch it weekly, and I'm happy to watch it weekly because it's something I look forward to every week. And it came out in the dead of winter last year, and it's out during the dead of winter this year. And like I'm so glad that I don't have the ability to binge it because I totally would. And I saw an article, I can't remember if it was the New Yorker or the New York Times or the Atlantic, somebody good, some reputable journalism had a headline, and it said everyone's watching The Pit because it's competency porn. So we are living in an era right now where watching people that are competent at their job, that care about other people, and there's somebody on that show for everyone, right? Like the the amount of diversity in that cast, everybody can see somebody that looks like them, which doesn't happen very often. But in a city, at a hospital, that is what would happen. Like it's very realistic. And I just sat there and I was like, I can't believe, first of all, whoever wrote that nailed it. Second of all, I just can't believe that we even had to come up with that term, because it's like we've lost the plot so much. Like it's like, and people are doing like this 2016 trend, with the photos and everything on Instagram. And I'm just like, oh my God, Obama times. Like, remember when we like cared about the right things and like didn't have influencers really yet, and like weren't sucked into the internet, and like we're living our lives and like could trust the government and like all this shit. And I'm like, it's wild. It's really wild. So bless the pit. Thank you so much for existing. It's like a reminder that people don't all stink. And it's good. It's really good quality television. And I have like 4 or 5 different friends that like we text about it. And it's like fun to have, because obviously like the fandom of Heated Rivalry is like a total blast. And like there are tons of other juicy shows that like I have that with people. But like to literally be texting with friends and be like, so what do you think's wrong with this baby on the show? You know what I mean? And like, what do you think's going to happen with so and so? Like, do you think they're all right? And like, I'm feeling kind of sus about blah blah blah. Like we talk about them as if they're like our neighbors. Like it's such a different kind of fandom, and I'm really enjoying it.
Speaking of healthcare professionals, if you need like a lighter side of Instagram to follow, Jen Hamilton is a delivery nurse in North Carolina. She gives fantastic tips about if you're going into the hospital, what you need to be asking and looking out for. She's also just hysterical and has pet chickens. And she's also a Democrat. So
There you go.
Speaking of the pet chickens, I just have to say, when I was in North Carolina for Thanksgiving, I went to a thrift store with my family and I bought this really cute red Talbot's jacket. And my sister didn't see me try it on. So when I was home later and I was like, did you see the jacket I got? And she goes, it's giving, come get the eggs from my chicken coop.
Cute, Emma.
rude.
I was like, it's giving, I'm walking to the end of the road to see the sunset with a glass of wine in my hand is what it's giving, not chicken coop.
Good Lord. I look forward to seeing that. A red jacket. Ellie will be thrilled. It's her favorite color. Do we want to get into the books we're discussing? And yes, it's books plural this week, people. Should we do it?
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, so this came onto my periphery back, I want to say August or September. I don't actually know how this popped into.
I remember you like sending it to me though and being
But
this
like my
sounds
algorithm
interesting.
was different back then. So I'm not really sure how the internet knew to send it my way, but it sent it as like a coming this fall. And I knew immediately I would not be able to watch it because it was only going to be in Canada. But then I found out that it was going to be, or that it already was a book series. And then people, very few, just like a couple here and there over the coming fall months, asked if we had it in stock at the bookstore. And I did a little research and discovered that we couldn't order it because it was not currently being printed. by Harlequin. So we are talking about the Game Changer series, which is currently 6 books, will soon be a 7th, by Rachel Reid. I mean, I feel like we've gotten more and more into romance in the past 2 years, but for a very long time, I don't think, aside from Molly reading Jasmine Guillory, we were not really aware so much about the romance space. And this series has been around since, I believe, 2018 is when the first book came out. I could be wrong about that.
I think
Anyone
that
want to
that's
fact check me?
I think that that's right.
This is a series.
Yes. October 22nd, 2018.
Sometimes things retain in the folds of my brain. This series is sort of like an interlocking grouping of characters. Caitlin had said when she started watching Heated Rivalry, what's the likelihood that there would actually be a captain of an NHL team who's gay? And I brought out my statistics and was like, well, technically, if there's 700-ish players in the NHL and a 10% chance of them being gay, then yes, they're very likely are quite a few not out players currently in the NHL. People argue about the order you can read these books in. I'm reading them out of order. I did 1, 2, and now I'm on 6. You guys did 1, 2, 3. I'm assuming you're going to continue. I don't know what to compare this to that you can kind of, dodge and weave. But I really just wanted to continue with Shane and Ilya. I don't feel like I need to introduce currently into my mental state more couples. Maybe I'll come back at another time and read 3, 4, 5. What I would love to discuss first is that, can either of you think of an equally true page to screen? Because for me, watching first and then reading, I saw every single line that was plucked and put in the script. And I can't think of another book adaptation that was even remotely close.
I'm going to have to mull that over for a couple of days, but nothing is coming to mind.
Well, what's so interesting about this is I think most people that have consumed the visual and then are going back are doing the opposite. They're watching and then they're reading. And so they're going to catch how Jacob stuck so closely to the source material and how monstrous this has become. And it makes me wonder if Hollywood is going to change going forward, because look at how well this did, not changing anything, sticking exactly with the source material. And then thinking about how Molly and I just recently watched People We Meet on Vacation, which I haven't read it yet, so I don't have the comparison, but Molly said that it deviated a little bit in order to sort of smush it down to under 2 hours. I'm wondering if Hollywood is going to see how well this did and kind of,
Well, so my hope is that I totally agree with what you just said, but my hope is that they start to appreciate the miniseries a little more and maybe don't try to make everything a movie all the time and actually do justice to it by giving it 6 by 45 minutes. That's my 2 cents on that. I love a miniseries, and if you really want to adapt a book correctly, I mean, I think the Harry Potter movies are a perfect example. They did as good a job as they could have with the time that they were allotted. Some of those books were over 500 pages long. You're not going to be able to capture everything, and people are going to be disappointed. I think I saw every single one of those movies in the movie theater, and I left disappointed every single time. And I would go on opening. I would go at midnight to go see it because I'm such a Potter nerd. And I had homemade t-shirts with puffy paint on it and all that, because this was pre Etsy. You couldn't just go and order something that somebody had made on their Cricut. You had to make your own shit. That's what kind of fangirl I am. I had to make my own shit. And I just don't think that you can do it and satisfy people, and people are really satisfied with this because they had the time to do it, to include all the nooks and crannies and all the great moments, like something like the tuna melt might have gotten cut if it had been a movie, and like what a disappointment that would have been. Looking at the books, I would say for Game Changers, I think Kip is a lot cooler in the book. Like, I think he has a little more swag, and it makes more sense that he was able to scoop Scott Hunter. And that was a little bit of a bummer that they made him like kind of dorkier in the show. That being said, I thought Kip was great in the show. And like, I'm not upset, but I'm just kind of surprised. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Scott and Kip in the future on the show, if anything, because I'm wondering if they're like they're gonna make him blossom and be like a little cooler on the show, like once they're both out as a couple and like doing stuff, if that's maybe going to be his time to shine in the show. But I also don't know if they're going to be in the show anymore. I hope they are. I loved that there were like little hat tips to Elia and Shane, like in all three books, all because Molly and I have read 1, 2, and 3. It's clear that that's her favorite couple because she brings them up in all of the books. They like are somehow connected to the other characters like throughout the series. Honestly, if I hadn't seen Heated Rivalry before I started these books, that easily would have been my favorite of the three, like by a landslide. Like they're just, and the writing from book 1 to book 2, I don't know if she got a different editor or if she just like hit her groove or she just like loved Shane and Amelia so much that like her writing just blossomed. But I found the writing from book 2 to 1 like drastically improved. I thought it was like way smoother. I thought it felt like she knew what she was doing. Like it was really noticeable. And then book 3 I read in one sitting, and book 3 starts to explore more of like a softer, like effeminate twink kind of character, which we don't have in book 1 or 2. And I
Shows
found
up in
that
book 6.
to be, oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome. That makes me really happy. Found them, like I feel like in romances we always have like, the grumpy sunshine is like the opposite. This is like, it's literally called tough guy, but it's like a tough guy fighter hockey player with somebody who wears eyeliner and plays the violin. And I was like, this is magical. Like I love this. Like I just was so like quickly enamored with them, and I was like, I want to know more about why like like redheaded beefy fighter hockey player, like why this is like his type, like why does it, I just was like, and he talks about him being beautiful and like he compliments him when he's wearing makeup and he's like he's wearing this beautiful black lace shirt while he does his violin performance, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, this is awesome, like this is so different from anything else that I've read. Like I just don't feel like I've ever read or watched anything where the couple is that dynamic. I love, it's like a hard and a soft. It's like it's so different. I just loved it. So I honestly think that I liked book 3 better than book 1, if I'm being honest. I think that nothing against Scott and Kip, but I do really like Scott and Kip, but I don't know if I would like Scott and Kip as much if I hadn't watched them on screen and like seen their trajectory. I don't think that I would have been really like that dazzled by Game Changers, but I was dazzled by Tough Guy. And like I really hope that we get to see those two and watch that on screen. I would really look forward to that. And I feel like I have some pretty good images in my head of what I think the characters look like, which I didn't really feel that way with Scott and Kip. Like, I didn't, the way that she describes them in book 1, I didn't really get like a good, um, like image. I just didn't put it together, but I feel like she's way more descriptive with how the characters in Tough Guy look. And I'm looking forward to like if they cast them, like I'm looking forward to what that might be. I'm just excited to have more books. I'm taking a break. I'm not going to read 4 right away, like, cuz I just kind of want to pocket it, like I'll go back to it in February. Like I've had December and January that have just been like Rachel Reid extravaganza, and now I'm just going to take a little break, and then I'm going to go back to my old friends in February, I think. Right around Valentine's Day maybe.
I am going to share thoughts about all the first 3 books because I took copious notes in anticipation for this episode. And I
Bravo.
know
Thank you.
that our social media following wants this because they've asked for it repeatedly. I've spent hours per day answering their comments, wanting to know what we think about these books. So, starting with book 1, which is Scott and Kip, I felt similarly to both of you that because I fell in love with them on the show, I felt like I was predisposed to be interested in the book. They are so much more layered and interesting in the book than they are in the show. And the show is about Shane and Ilya, and Scott and Kip are supporting characters that are the catalyst for things that happen to them. So I understood why it happened the way that it happened. I liked Scott and Kip so much more in the book than I did on screen. I was blown away that Rachel Reid described Scott Hunter as a blonde, which I cannot picture at all. I feel like Francois, the actor, is meant to be that person.
Yep.
And he has dyed his hair blonde for other roles, as I'm sure we've all seen on the internet rabbit hole. It's not that he doesn't look great. I just love that he was his natural self for this, and it felt like it was exactly right. Also, in the show, we see them almost go out for Mexican at the end of this like gala where Scott is attending and Kip is working. In the book, they have an actual first date at a burger place. I was very bummed that we didn't get to see that. I felt like that sets the stage for like how Scott hides himself and how Kip is trying to make space for that. And that dynamic just doesn't really play out in as gentle a way on the show. You get that art gallery scene where Scott like vanishes from panic, but there's so much more depth in the book that explains why he is that way and makes it seem less dickish. Also, on the show, we've got Kip and Kip's amazing dad, Steph's favorite character. In the book, when I discover he also has a mom and sister, I was like, what? Who are you? Where did you come from?
That was definitely a budget situation. They just couldn't pay more people.
But see, I kind of liked that it was just him and his dad.
I mean, it totally worked for the show. Like, I think we all fell in love with the dad and their dynamic together. It was more like, were you hiding these other family members? It's just, I mean, obviously they couldn't fit it all in. There's also a Valentine's Day scene with Scott and Kip in which they make dinner at home and there's a giant bathtub for 2. I almost fell over. I'm like, I can't believe we didn't get to see this on screen. That's insane.
But maybe we will.
Maybe we will.
They tucked a few things away.
It's possible. Also, when Scott,
crossed.
Yeah, when Scott is on the road, he Skypes with Kip, which also you don't see. That he tries to maintain their relationship even when he's away. In the show, it feels so one-sided. Like Kip is just this like kept boy who waits for him in the luxury apartment. And that's actually not the dynamic of their relationship. I also love the scene where Scott told his teammates that he's gay. I was so sad that that didn't make it in, and they all had such warm, kind, open-hearted reactions. And I think that was incredible. Also, you both mentioned how much of the source material made it into the show. I didn't realize that Scott's speech at the MVP Awards was actually in the epilogue of all places in this book. And it was so cool to read it again and be like, wow, they actually had him recite every single word of this. I felt it was like a bit hidden that it was in the epilogue. I would just want to read one page that just made me smile so freaking much. And if you haven't read this book yet, I hope this gives you a moment to be like, oh, actually, I should make the time for this. So Scott is playing and Kip is at the Kingfisher watching the game. They both watched as Scott moved like lightning toward the net. Kip held his breath. Everything was slow motion as Scott let off his shot. He floated over the goalie's shoulder, pretty as anything. Yeah, Kip said, jumping from the couch. Did you see that? Amazing. He pointed gleefully at the television. That man loves me. Me. I don't understand it either. He sank back onto the couch, resting his head on Elena's shoulder. That's my boyfriend. Of course it is, sweetie. Kip laughed. It does sound nuts when I say it, right? It's so weird. It's just like, sorry, they're not at the Kingfisher, that apartment. The fact that he can't even believe it. Like, we can't believe it. He can't believe it. It's such a pinch me thing, but that they have this amazing relationship. I just love the mutual adoration where like Scott can't believe he has Kip and can't believe he has Scott. If they get to have more screen time, I would be delighted.
I can't
So we'll see.
imagine. I can't imagine that they won't bring them back. You know what I mean? Like
We'll find out, I guess. Okay, moving on to
so sad if it didn't happen.
The Star. Hated Rivalry.
It is
I knew
the
I was-
star. It's the star of the series.
It's
And
the
I haven't
star
even
of the
finished the
solar
series, but I
system.
just know that it's.
I knew I
Steph
would
is
love.
laughing because she knows things that we don't know yet, and that makes me really giddy because I can tell she's just biting her tongue. So
And also, that's her face when she knows she found the best thing that we all
I
fell in
know,
love with.
I know.
It's both. It's both. Okay, I knew I was going to love this book because I'm already obsessed with Shane and Ilya, but it was cool to see what made it in and what didn't. The two things that stuck out to me the most, and then I'll read one tiny bit. Shane in the show, to me, sometimes came off just short circuiting, like his brain just couldn't always deal with the moment. In the book, to read his inner monologue during those moments, I liked him so much more. I understood him so much more. My empathy for him went through the roof. I know why they couldn't fit all of that in. It makes total sense to me. And instead, he had to use his eye movements and his body language and the rigidity of his posture and all of those things.
And the pinched pockets.
Definitely Stephanie's pinch pocket observation, which I still can't believe I never noticed. I felt for him so much more deeply once I understood every single thing that he was worried about being inexperienced, about being sexually inexperienced, about being not as wild or out there as Ilya. Just the constant, am I enough? Am I good enough? Can I hold on to him? When I made my first watch of the show, I didn't fully understand that. I think now that I've seen it more times, it became more clear. But the first watch, I definitely did not get that that's what was going on inside his brain. Second, with Ilya, there's a lot in the book about his language. I don't want to say barrier. That's not right. He speaks English, but there's many moments throughout where he says, I don't have the words for this, or I wasn't sure how to say this. In many moments, he closes the gap physically or sexually because he doesn't know what to say. I think you get that in the book, but you don't always realize that it's because he can't figure out actually what to say. So he expresses himself in a different way. And that also made all the on-screen decisions feel more informed in a way that I originally didn't understand. And then there's a bit where they're talking about spending time together in the future. And I can't remember what year this is in, but this is page 204. Ilya says, when will I have you for as long as I want? Shane's heart leapt. I don't know, as soon as possible. Yes, Ilya leaned in and kissed him. After I win the Stanley Cup this year, we should go somewhere. Shane huffed, you're not winning that cup, and where on earth would we go? I don't know, somewhere no one knows us. What, like the moon? No, like Fiji. Nope, all it takes is one Canadian tourist with an iPhone. But then it continues on for them brainstorming where they might be able to go on vacation. And of course, we all know they eventually end up at the cottage for privacy. But there were a lot of cute, small moments like that I realized there just wasn't time. And so they couldn't put it in. But it made me adore them so much more to see all the ways that they were trying to make room and space for each other. Steph, you have a lot of tags in here. Was there anything you wanted to?
I think it was just me loving loving certain things.
Okay.
I just wanted to add one thing, which was
Please.
that the conversation that happens in episode 6 at the cottage between Yuna and Shane is not in the book. And I loved that they added that. I think that was such a beautiful, purposeful, necessary addition. But I love that everything else, I think just as an author for me, it just like made my heart so full that like, you know, when they change a book in an adaptation, personally, I'm always thinking like, did they think it wasn't good? Like, why did they feel like they needed to change it? Did I not do a good enough job on the dialogue? Did I not make this exciting enough? And for them to just be like, this is perfect source material as is. We're going to stay true to the author, just like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to read book 6, which is the continuation of Shane and Ilya's story. I am probably still going to go in order. Book 3, Tough Guy. I'm just holding it up in case people don't know what this looks like. I knew nothing about these characters going in. I just was like, Rachel Reid, I bow at your altar, and if you wrote something, I'll read it. This one was super interesting to me for a few reasons. Ryan, who is this like described as the sexy Viking lumberjack hockey player, has some serious mental health issues, and he talks about them openly. He's in therapy, he's on anti-anxiety medication, he hates flying and has a really difficult time. He carries a book, Anne of Green Gables, with him every time he flies because it reminds him of these like peaceful moments in his childhood with his sister. One, I just want to give Rachel Reid a standing ovation for actually talking about this stuff and talking about it in a setting where it's not regularly discussed. And then for him to be, as you said, Caitlin, attracted to this person who is so outside the realm, like not who he spends time with at work, not who he spends time with in his family. This is a person that is almost like it's like a fantasy to him, someone who is so artistic and creative and confident and not afraid to dress in their own way.
And free.
And now I'm going to cry. And free. Yes, Stephanie. And free. He's attracted to someone that other people would probably not accept. And their relationship is so loving and caring and patient. And I read it all in one day, all 300 pages, because I wanted to know what was going to happen to them. And I feel like of all the stories so far in this universe, this is the one I feel like the public most needs to read and to make space for both of these kinds of human beings, and that people need to get over whatever their preconceived notions are about who people can be attracted to and what that looks like. There's also kind of a funny, not funny, interesting power dynamic in this about Ryan living in this huge luxury apartment with no furniture because he keeps getting traded. And Fabian lives in like a shoebox that's covered every single inch with like tapestries and treasures and like brightly colored bedspreads. And it's just this physical juxtaposition of their two worlds and how they make space for the other person to exist in those worlds. I just loved it. I have no idea if this will make it to the screen in any way. I think it would be amazing if it did. I don't know if there's enough for it to be like a 6-episode narrative, but Rachel Reid, this one really made me feel like she has range because it was so different than the other two. And it was so creative and outside the box. And it would be easy to just keep writing Shane and Ilya because everybody loves them. But that she's choosing to introduce different types of personalities and complexities. And I also love that she's juggling flawed human beings with 5 out of 5 spicy peppers. Like, I don't know how you do that, but she does.
I think the mental health aspect in this book is fascinating because there is another kind of like brute enforcer character who is clearly going through some significant mental health issues that Ryan recognizes. He's like, this guy is not okay. Like, there's something going on. Like, he's had too many traumatic brain injuries, or he is mega depressed, or, you know, a variety of things that you see in contact sports. And he recognizes it, and then something happens later on in the book with that other character, and the mental health part of things then piggybacks onto the foundation, the arena foundation that Shane and Ilya have established, and that pulls them back in. And I just was like, God, she had a plan. Rachel Reid had a plan. And I feel like I've read so many romance series at this point where, you know, whether it be like one of our ranch romances that we've read, and I just feel like they're kind of they're tugging at strings a little bit. Like, how can I like interject this character in like this very forced way so that people know who they are when the next book comes out? And it feels kind of like, I don't want to say cheap, but I'm now seeing that it can be done really well. Rachel Reid is doing it really well. And now I'm irritated with all these other series that like their editors didn't help them massage that a little bit, because it can be done. And it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like a ploy to get me to buy the next book. It's like, it's well done. It makes sense and it leads to the next thing in a really cohesive, beautiful way. And everybody else should be starting to pay attention to how she is doing it, because it's just I guess the word I'm looking for is like it's done more professionally is what it feels like. It feels a little more polished. So yeah, I loved the third book. I loved it. And because like Ryan has already been mentioned as like playing with on the same team as Elia, I feel like I think they are going to show up in the show. I just have a sneaking suspicion.
Can I say my predictions since my currently reading book is the sixth book?
Yes, please.
But
Okay,
wait, you're not
yeah.
going to.
I'm not going to spoil anything.
Okay,
No,
good.
no,
All right, good.
no. But the sixth book is a continuation. It picks up exactly where we left off in book 2, Heated Rivalry. But it also is weaving all these other characters together. So my thought is that season 2 will be based off of this book, and we'll do sort of the like one-off episode, like episode 3 in Heated Rivalry season 1, where we get the Kip and Scott introduction. I think that's what's going to happen in season 2. We'll get the one-off episode where we introduce some other characters, because when we start off in this book, we get to a point where they're actually doing the summer camps that they talked about at the end of the cottage episode, and they have brought in fellow NHL players to help be the like counselors at the camps. And so I'm guessing that that's when we will get the backstories maybe on those characters. But I also just want to like tease for you guys that since we are a few years ahead of where we left off at the cottage by like page 100, we get the most adorable scene ever with Hayden's kids, because at this point he now has 4 and I think the youngest is like 3. And there's an Ilya Shane babysitting the kids scene that just my crusty old heart began to beat again.
Also, I know the Mega Heated Rival fans have already seen this on the internet, so this is not a spoiler. Shane and Ilya are getting dogs, and I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna freak out.
Yep.
I can't. I
can't
already
wait.
love them so much.
I can't wait. I
can't imagine loving them more, but I'm going to once a dog enters the chat.
And oh my God, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. So I said I was going to wait until February, but now I just got really jazzed about this series again. Okay, so here's Common Goal is the next one. I have to tell you, I think I'm predicting this is going to be the weakest one in the series for me. And the
Who's
reason
in that one?
This one is Eric the goalie.
What's the last name?
Eric Bennett, and then a grad student named Kyle Swift.
Kyle's the bartender.
Kyle the bartender?
I don't know. So
no, it is.
So here's my thing. You know, I don't like an age gap romance. This is an age gap romance. The hockey player he's retired from hockey and he's trying to figure out, what am I going to do with my life after hockey? And then
but they retire
this
at 30.
grad student. Well, we don't know, because on the back he says that he doesn't want to get emotionally involved with like a much younger guy. So anyways, I think this is going to be the weakest link for me if I had to predict. Obviously, I'm probably still going to read it in one sitting because
of course you are.
This is who I am now. Rachel Reid has ruined me. And yeah, this series is, I will say, a couple friends who recently started watching the show, they said, you were right. I needed to get to episode 3 before I really was like swooning. They were like, episodes 1 and 2 were a little tough. And if you hadn't told me that, I might not have stuck with it. And I said, you have to keep in mind, these are horny 19-year-old professional hockey players. Like, it's not going to be swoony from the go. You know what I mean? Like, they had to get a little older. They had to pine for each other a little bit. And so for those of you that have endured this entire episode and still haven't watched this show somehow, stick with it. Episode 3 really is the game changer. We've already chatted quite a bit. Do we want to get into what we're reading right now?
Let's just do it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, so I'm reading a book that I've been meaning to read for a really long time. It's The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. She is one of my favorite authors. She and Joan Didion are my favorite authors. And Toni Morrison has a lot of books. And I just have to say, I, in the biggest restraint I've ever exhibited in my entire life, because I don't have a lot of restraint in general, I have not read all of her books because I just want there to be something left for me to look forward to. And so, like, every few years, I'll pick up another Toni Morrison and, like, I'm making my way through her entire canon. I'm just going to read you like the third page of this book just to remind you that she's like one of the best writers we've ever had. And also, she has this way of kind of like previewing what the entire book is going to be about in a single page, and it's way better than any blurb writer could ever dream of being. So, here's page 3 of The Bluest Eye. Quiet as it's kept, there were no marigolds in the fall of 1941. We thought at the time that it was because Piccola was having her father's baby that the marigolds did not grow. A little examination and much less melancholy would have proved to us that our seeds were not the only ones that did not sprout. Nobody's did. Not even the gardens fronting the lake showed marigolds that year. But so deeply concerned were we with the health and safe delivery of Piccola's baby, we could think of nothing but our own magic. If we planted the seeds and said the right words over them, they would blossom and everything would be all right. It was a long time before my sister and I admitted to ourselves that no green was going to spring from our seeds. Once we knew, our guilt was relieved only by fights and mutual accusations about who was to blame. For years, I thought my sister was right. It was my fault. I had planted them too far down in the earth. It never occurred to either of us that the earth itself might have been unyielding. We had dropped our seeds in our own little plot of black dirt, just as Piccola's father had dropped his seeds in his own plot of black dirt. Our innocence and faith were no more productive than his lust or despair. What is clear now is that of all of that hope, fear, lust, love, and grief, nothing remains but Piccola and the unyielding earth. Charlie Breedlove is dead, our innocence too. The seeds shriveled and died, her baby too. There's really nothing more to say, except why. But since why is difficult to handle, one must take refuge in how. So, like I said, it tells you what the book is going to be about. It is incredibly poetic and lyrical, and you're dying to know what the fuck happened. Like, seriously. So, yeah, so that's The Bluest Eye. And John Green has said multiple times that this is his favorite Toni Morrison book. So, and what kind of like pushed me to make this be my 2026 Toni Morrison is I'm also listening to John Green's Anthropocene Reviewed right now, which is an awesome listen because it's essays. So I can like listen to one essay at a time and it feels more like a podcast than a book. And that is a book in which he reviews the era that we are currently living in. And so one essay is about like Diet Dr. Pepper, and another essay is about Canadian geese, and another one's about velociraptors, and one's about the Hall of Presidents at Disney World. And at the end of each essay, he rates the topic of the essay out of 5 stars. So like at the end, he'll be like, I give Diet Dr. Pepper 4.5 stars. And it's a great listen and I highly recommend it. And he's got great perspective and it makes you think about humanity in a different lens than the current garbage we're dealing with. Recommend. I give it 4 stars so far.
Okay. I am reading Heart the Lover by Lily King. I just started this earlier today. Lily King has written several books, including one called Writers and Lovers, set in Harvard Square, which I loved. And I went back to look at my Goodreads history and I was like, I gave that 5 stars, I think. I did give it 5 stars, but this was before I reviewed every single book that I read. So I don't have like my impulse feeling from when I smashed that 5 stars. But I will say, in the book, the main character works at a restaurant that's based on Upstairs on the Square in Harvard Square, which has since closed, RIP.
I totally forgot about that place.
which is where I always hoped to one day have my bridal shower if I ever got engaged. So that was like an extra harsh closure for me. But anyway, this is her new book, Heart the Lover. I am about 20 pages in. It's about a college student who finds herself in the middle of a love triangle. I posted on Instagram yesterday that I purchased this and got a flood of DMs from people saying, I loved that book. I just finished that book. That book broke me. That book made me cry. So far, I'm not in a crying mode, but maybe I will be by the end. But her writing is very emotional and very moving. And the book is 249 pages, which feels very manageable. And I wouldn't be surprised if I read the whole thing today, to be honest with you, because I think.
Do you think we'll do an episode on it?
I can't tell yet.
Okay.
I can't tell yet. If there's enough there. I'm hoping so. And that we can also, talk about her other books if we feel like it. But this cover is one of those that leaps off the bookstore table. When you see this, it just pops in a sea of everything else hilariously. So Steph was very nice and put this on hold for me at the bookstore so that I didn't have to fight other people to get it because it's in high demand. There's another book with an orange cover and giant eyes by a different author. So when people are coming in and describing this, they might be walked towards the correct book or towards this other book that has a very similar vibe to it, which is just funny.
It has googly eyes, though. It's
yeah, but it's just funny. Like whoever is in the art departments of these two publishing houses clearly didn't know that the other one was happening, because how many times do you walk in and say, I'm looking for the orange cover with the giant eyes? But listeners, if you want to follow along with everything we discussed today, see the full list of all of the Game Changer books, as well as everything else we mentioned, join us on Instagram. We are at Plans Are Booked. That's where we share the book titles from every single episode, as well as unlimited Heated Rivalry content. You can also write to us. We are plansairebooked@gmail.com. If you liked what you listened to today, we would love if you would leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps people find the show.
And until next time, our plans are booked.